Iran appears to be launching their final offensive.
The fragile ceasefire is teetering as Iran launches new attacks. Iranian state media broadcasting these images, claiming they show rockets firing warning shots
that
at
doesn't
American
look like
destroyers
a ceasefire.
attempting to enter the Strait of Hormuz.
Hey guys, good morning. Tension continues to rise across the Middle East as Iran is firing on vessels in the Persian Gulf. This comes as the United States is working to guide ships out of the Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz as part of Project Freedom. Overnight, CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper described the U.S. firepower protecting the operation.
Firepower.
It's a defensive operation. We are employing U.S. ballistic missile defense-capable destroyers, over 100 land and sea-based aircraft, multi-domain unmanned platforms, and then 15,000 service members.
Yeah,
to
good luck
extend
messing with that.
Defensive umbrella across the Strait of Hormuz. We have an enormous amount of capability and firepower concentrated in and around the strait, including A-864 Apache and M-860 Seahawk helicopters.
I spoke yesterday with President.
Yet we're supposed to believe Iran has a chance of turning the tide?
Today, the administration announced 2 U.S.-flagged commercial ships were able to make it through. But Iran responded with a defiant show of force. Firing at American Navy vessels and a commercial South Korean ship. Trump says ships are moving through the strait and the war is going well.
It's working out very nicely.
But most Americans disagree.
Wow, so to some people, Iran's winning.
I spoke yesterday with President Trump, who told me that if Iran attacks U.S. vessels in this area, they will be, quote, blown off the face of the earth. The president went on to say, we have more weapons and ammunition at a much higher grade than we had before. We have the best equipment. We have stuff all over the world. We have these bases all over the world. They're all stocked up with the equipment. We can use all of that stuff, and we will if we need it. We do know early on Monday, 2 vessels were successfully escorted through the strait, but since then, Iran has ramped up attacks on the UAE, a U.S. ally in the Gulf.
This is stupid too, man.
4 drones targeted the country with damage caused to a key oil facility. The bottom line here, the Iranians are testing this fragile ceasefire as the United States is preparing for the possibility of a return to combat operations.
And what some people are saying is this new Operation Freedom has a purpose that is a little bit different than what it looks like.
President Trump has directed U.S. Central Command to restart the free flow of commerce through the Strait of Hormuz under the umbrella of Project Freedom. To be clear, this operation is separate and distinct from Operation Epic Fury. Project Freedom is defensive in nature, focused in scope.
But by putting U.S. ships in this area and telling everybody else, hey, go ahead, break Iran's blockade, this is essentially the biggest double dog dare in the entire world to the Iranians to say, hey, look, we're opening this thing up, and if you try to stop us, there's going to be a problem.
And let it be known that we can protect you if you go through the strait. While it's good news the destroyers made it through, we destroyed 5 or 6 fast boats. The bad news is, as long as there's that type of fire and resistance, you're not going to have any tankers go through, correct?
But that's the purpose of this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be very challenging, and the president noted this in our conversation yesterday. There's a lot of oil right now on these vessels in the Persian Gulf. The Iranians miscalculated because they thought the United States would back down, but what the president has done is twofold. Not only block Iranian ports, but also Project Freedom, escorting these vessels out of the Persian Gulf and through the strait.
This takes away the only leverage Iran had left. They said, this is our strait, this is our leverage, and now it's gone.
Now, the Iranians so far have tried to test the American resolve in this area, but
as
the CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper noted yesterday in that briefing, there are more than 15,000 U.S. soldiers, sailors, and Marines in this area that are helping to escort these vessels. They are not actively riding alongside the vessels, but they are overwatching them. And so they have the ability to shoot down the incoming Iranian fire. But again, Iran is not only targeting vessels in the Persian Gulf, but they've now turned to start attacking with ballistic missiles and drones these countries in the Gulf, including the United Arab Emirates.
And that's because what else are they going to attack if this whole thing is over in the next day or so? If there's a surrender, if they decide to stop fighting entirely and lay down their arms, this was their last chance to launch something. And it's sad that this is what they want to do, attacking people who aren't even involved.
So there will be tense days ahead and questions about if there will be any sort of response to these ongoing Iranian efforts to disrupt shipping in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, I mean, Trey, the UAE Defense Ministry has confirmed that their air defense systems did intercept the ballistic missiles. Iran is denying that it's coming from them. But this does mark escalation.
Where else
Isn't
is it
this a
coming
violation of the ceasefire?
Who else is launching ballistic missiles over there?
Yes, it is a violation of the ceasefire, and it's not the first time that Iran has violated the ceasefire. Despite the ongoing diplomatic efforts and the olive branch that President Trump has offered the Iranian regime, they continue to play games not only at the negotiating table, but also on the battlefield. And we've heard from top commanders in the U.S. military, and we'll hear later this morning, we are seeing a massive U.S. military buildup across the Middle East.
And there's a reason for that. Because while this new Operation Freedom is defensive in nature, the best defense is a good offense.
They've fired at U.S. ships several times in the last 24 hours. What do they need to do to violate the ceasefire?
Well, you'll find out, because I'll let you know. They know what to do, and they know what to do. They know what not to do, more importantly, actually. And, they fired them in little boats with pea shooters. The pea shooter is a little boat with why? Because they don't have any boats anymore. The Navy is comprised of, they call them little boats, right?
Boats or little boats.
Yeah.
And they're fast. Yeah, they're so fast.
Bass fishing boats.
That they had 8 of them, and they're all gone.
Wow.
And they're fast, but they're not fast like a missile.
And this is the problem for Iran. By breaking the ceasefire and trying to be defiant and trying to scare the Trump administration into an all-out retreat here, trying to scare America with their speedboats, they've actually put themselves in a very precarious position, because now that they've broken the ceasefire, a response could come suddenly without warning, and that's the last thing they want.
And this is because President Trump is prepared, understanding how the Iranians negotiate. He understands the Iranians want to drag out these negotiations, and ultimately, if they don't come to an agreement, we're likely looking at a scenario where combat operations resume. And that is why you see not only these tankers and these refueling aircraft that have basically spread out throughout the Middle East, but you also see these cargo planes, the C-17s, that are arriving each and every day in the region to ensure that the U.S. military has the bombs and the ammunition if these combat operations do resume.
It sounds like they're going to.
Does it suggest that since Iran decided to attack UAE targets instead of attacking those 2 destroyers, that maybe the U.S. does have a better channel, that a more secure channel than we realize? And secondly, I would assume that every time we send a ship through that channel, we learn a whole lot more about their strategy and where their attacks are emanating from.
They have no strategy. Their attacks are emanating from whatever missile launcher they can mount on the back of a truck and bring out from some hiding place before it gets destroyed. But remember, this is all part of a propaganda campaign. Iran doesn't have to win on the battlefield if they can win in your mind and make you think this is all a terrible idea and that we've lost and that America should retreat.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the Iranians are under an immense amount of economic pressure as a result of the successful U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. They're reaching a point where they have no more oil storage facilities left to hold the oil.
What are they going to do?
Ultimately will put more pressure domestically on the Iranian regime, a regime that saw earlier this year people go to the streets despite the fact they were met with live ammunition and demonstrate against the economic conditions inside of Iran. But there's another major question here, and that's whether or not other countries around the world are going to get involved in helping to escort these vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, the United States is doing the majority of the work to ensure the safety of these merchant vessels, not only in the Strait, but also in the Persian Gulf. And we're talking about hundreds of vessels and more than 20,000 sailors that have been trapped there in the Persian Gulf. And the United States is basically the main actor behind the firepower that is ensuring these vessels now can get through.
It's a humanitarian crisis. This is the exact same thing that should unite the entire world against this regime. The Germans are paying $9.50 per gallon of gas. That should unite them behind us to get rid of this whole problem. And it looks like that's the plan of this little Operation Freedom. Watch this. But just before we continue, there's something most people do not realize. If you're on Medicare, the Medicare market is rigged by incentives and not in your favor. It's a total scam. And most of the agents you see on TV or you find on Google, they are essentially bounty hunters for big insurance. They push Medicare Advantage plans even when they're not right for you because they make more money doing doing it. But that's why I've partnered with Chapter. They have flipped the script. They don't just share the amazing benefits of Medicare Advantage. They explain the pros and cons of all your Medicare options. In fact, Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that searches every single plan nationwide to find the right one for you. If you're already on the right plan, they will tell you. If not, they'll help you switch. Just last year, Chapter saved the average senior over $1,100 a year by getting them on the best fitting plan. So if you are turning 65 or already on Medicare, call Chapter today right here, 731-437-2682. Again, that's 731-437-2682. Get a second opinion on your coverage to get real peace of mind. Now let's get back to the video.
To our partners, allies, and the rest of the world, this is a temporary mission for us. As I've said before, the world needs this waterway a lot more
I would say
than we
so.
do. We're stabilizing the situation so commerce can flow again, but we expect the world to step up. At the appropriate time and soon, we will hand responsibility back to you.
Look at that.
To the incredible Americans executing this mission right now, simply thank you.
So, pretty soon, the rest of the world is going to have to come in here and take over. The U.S. has its hands on the steering wheel now, but pretty soon, this thing is either going to ghost ride itself or the Germans are going to get behind it.
High stock market today, despite that we're in a little skirmish, military. I call it a skirmish because Iran has no chance. They never did.
Never did.
They know it. They express it to me when I talk to them. Then they get on television. They say how well they're doing.
Yep.
And they have no Navy, totally wiped out. They have no Air Force, totally wiped out. They have no anti-aircraft capability, totally wiped out. No radar. They have no leaders.
And here's the other thing you got to remember. This news report that shows Iran launching these missiles, where did we get that? That came from their state television. Nobody knows how recent the footage of those missile launches actually is. That could have been from years ago during some sort of training exercise. All we know is there were missiles that were fired, and Iran is saying, this is what we did, but we don't know if the footage lines up with the real thing. All we know is this is what they said. And the reality is this Operation Freedom, the more you look at it, the more you understand that it is a secret way for the United States to resume full combat operations and claim its defensive when Iran invariably attacks us again.
Yes, well, this is a major priority here that's taken place, and President Trump's done, in my judgment, exactly the right thing. If we just go back in time, we know what happened. The Iranians closed down the Straits of Hormuz. And we began negotiations because it appeared like there was something tangible could come of the ceasefire and negotiations. Well, after 3+ weeks,
nothing.
It's pretty apparent to the administration that Iran is not going to present anything to the administration that's acceptable.
Nope.
And certainly one of the things on the table was to open up the Straits of Hormuz.
That's what they wanted.
In the meantime, during those 3 weeks, we put down a blockade, obviously to shut down all of Iran's exports, and that has been very, very successful. Exports, certainly by sea, land exports are still going out. But the overwhelming majority is shut down. And President Trump recognized full well that they're not going to voluntarily open up the Straits of Hormuz, so we're doing it by force. And it's a major comprehensive operation, as you just indicated.
So it's a rescue mission, but it's also a forceful military operation. You see what's going on here? Iran basically has to look at U.S. destroyers transiting the strait at will. They have to look at all these ships that they thought were their prisoners leaving, and they see their leverage going out the window with it.
Involving hundreds of airplanes, scores of ships involved in this, a layered defense that goes deep into Iran to detect any incoming missile, incoming drone, and then at the terminal defense right in the Straits of Hormuz, think of a dome being placed over ships that are passing through the Straits of Hormuz to defeat fast boats which have been defeated, drones that fly in that area, or anything that penetrates through the layered defense itself. Even a shoulder-fired weapon from Iran's land is a factor here.
Here is the ocean. You have tankers out here in the ocean, and then here is the land. Now, Iran, they can shoot a ballistic missile, which tries to land on the ship. They can fire some sort of shoulder-launched thing, but there's a dome protecting these vessels in this terminal phase. These things will get knocked out before they strike anything.
The lane that's been opened, the mines have been cleared, is very close to Oman in terms of its land base right there at the Straits of Hormuz. So we're not near the Iranian side, but it's only 20 miles away. So most drones and missiles obviously can reach it in any event. So what has happened here, 6 ships have gotten through. That's just a drop in the bucket in terms of the hundreds that are sitting in the Persian Gulf.
It's a humanitarian disaster.
The reason we're doing this is because those ships are sitting there and they need food. They need to get out of there. I mean, they're being held back by the Iranians. So that's the decision the president has made.
It's the right decision.
And I think it's the right decision. There are 2 things that will likely force us to go back into combat operations in addition to this priority mission. Fire on U.S. warships, that has happened, and also fire on our allies and partners in the region or U.S. bases.
Very interesting. So right now, Iran, what are they doing? They're launching these attacks at ships. They've already fired on U.S. ships. Those attacks were knocked down. They're firing on our allies. And if they're going to fire on a U.S. military base or fire on Israel, that could be the linchpin that turns everything back on in a way they don't want.
And that has happened as well. So it's likely that we will go back into combat operations, but the priority will be opening up the Straits of Hormuz and getting the traffic to flow.
And taking away all their leverage.
The resources we have involved in this thing is really quite significant, and you outlaid some of it, and I've just filled in some of the blanks here.
Now, let me ask you a question. If Iran is unable to stop this reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, this rescue mission, what leverage do they have over the world economy? Nothing. This is the last thing they have. They do not have their nuclear program. They do not have their ballistic program. Those things have been wiped out. They said they could strangle the world economy. For 3 weeks, the United States let them do it because, like the general said earlier, it looks like there might be something here. It looks like they might want to make a deal. They don't want to make a deal. They just want to drag things out. Now, with the U.S. blockade in place, their oil storage is totally blocked. Their storage facilities are filling up. They're about to blow up. And now, the one thing Iran said they had, their ability to control the seas, that's gone too.
That the president of Iran is fighting with and incredibly angry with the IRGC because they're going out and taking these attacks out into the seas, attacking our vessels without the government.
Yeah.
And they understand the economic pressure.
It's a mess.
The government understands the economic pressure that is about to befall
Some
or is
rogue
befalling
troops might
Iran.
trigger
but yet the
ceasefire to be
IRGC
broken.
is kind of operating in their own little universe, if you will. What does that mean?
That's why Trump hasn't said that, they've officially broken the ceasefire. You've got these rogue elements of their military that are firing off the last few missiles they have before this whole thing wraps up.
Well, I think we know who's in power. It's certainly not the president. He's been sidelined some time ago.
Yep.
It's certainly not the foreign minister who's been sidelined some time ago. The IRGC is in charge. There's just no doubt about it. They've got the guns and they have the access to the supreme leader. Obviously, Mojtaba Khamenei, who's the son,
the guy we've never seen.
He doesn't have the power that his father had, and there's a power vacuum here being filled by the IRGC leadership, and they are calling the shots. So I don't think we should pay much attention to what the foreign minister says, or frankly to what the president of Iran said. The guys in charge here, as I met, and the principal person in charge is Ahmed Vahidi. And he and his cohorts, they are as hardline as anybody that has been in control of Iran. And we've got to understand that. No thought.
So the general says that we should be looking at this as if a military coup has taken place in Iran, and as if the military is just completely in charge of the country, and nobody answers to anybody except the guys with the guns. And he's probably right. But what we don't know is the military even united in these seemingly random attacks? Is there even coordination? Do you have different branches of the military that are just kind of doing their own thing while they have the opportunity to operate autonomously? And is that the real reason? Is Trump saying, look, I'm going to give you guys another chance to get it together before we have to go back to combat operations? Is he saying, look, make a deal now before it's too late, while your leverage goes out the window as we reopen the strait because you can't stop us? Let me know what you think. See you in the next video.